I'm going to go ahead and get folks checked in. Looks like we have a few folks under the name Tom Jeffcott. If you all could introduce yourselves and let me know who you're representing here today.
Yes, good morning, David. My name is Tom Jeffcott. I am an attorney representing Living Room Lounge and Eric Clark. I'll let Eric and his wife introduce themselves as well.
Eric Clark.
And I am Michelle Clark, Eric's wife.
Okay, welcome. Are you all expecting anyone else to join us here today in this hearing?
Just us.
Okay, great. I see we also have Wes Menzel, who's the zoning plans examiner for the city of Cincinnati. Welcome, Wes.
Good morning.
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 Okay. I think we're ready to go ahead and proceed then. So the first thing I need to do is read through our hearing script. This basically just covers the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll jump right into it. So this is the April 19th, 2023 session of the zoning hearing examiner's docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city. The case before us today is case number ZH20230042. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any potential opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. Excuse me. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If we did have anyone here from the public, they would then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. I will give Wes Menzel an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant would have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that was offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, Mr. Jeffcott, I'll give you an opportunity to you and your client an opportunity to tell me about this project, any background you think is important for me to know here, then of course why you think this requested relief is appropriate and why I should grant it. You can orient that presentation however you'd like. This is sort of an informal setting. It's quasi-judicial, so if you want to ask the clerk's direct questions, sort of like a direct examination, you can do that. If you'd like to just give them the floor to tell me about the project, you can do that. You can give me some opening remarks or sort of opening statements, really however you want to orient the project. It's up to you. Then I'll go to Wes. I'll have some questions along the way. I'll let you guys respond to anything I say or Wes says and then make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. Let's see, in the event of any technical difficulties with the video conferencing technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from me fully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. The last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing, and you are not an attorney, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So if you believe that is you, I'd ask you now to raise your right hand. Need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. All right, Mr. Jeffcott, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ready to proceed. Thank you. I think the way we'll structure this is I'll give a brief introduction on the project, and then I'll turn to Eric and Michelle to offer some additional personal testimony with their background and their plans for the space. So this application, the reason for the application stems from Eric's request to remodel and build out his current space located at 2323 Florence Avenue into a bar space for the community's benefits. He's owned the property for a few years now, and currently it's being used just as a gathering space amongst family and friends. It's in a good location in Walnut Hills. Certainly an up and coming revitalized district, and certainly you hear new businesses popping up there and other business announcements all the time. So this is looking to add to that revitalization, and the plans to build this out will take approximately 12 to 18 months. The application itself did provide some photos of the current state of the premises. There's some additional build out that will be done inside with the restrooms and also in the patio area. Today, we hope to address any questions and concerns that the city may have. We have applied for a liquor license. That application is pending. We are not on a waiting list. We do have a D5, D6 liquor permit lined up. And so the reason for this hearing and the delay on that license was to make sure that the zoning was all in order. So today, we hope to address all those questions and concerns and allow us to continue to move forward with this project and obtain the liquor permit. So I'll turn to Mr. Clark here. Eric, could you please provide some background on the building itself and your plans to change that and open the bar, the living room lounge?
Yes. I guess I came up with this idea about a year ago. Like I say, me and our family and friends used to come down and watch the football games. And one day we decided to expand it. We had brought our dogs down, the family brought their dogs down, and I thought that would be a really good atmosphere. Came up with this idea where you can bring your pets and have a couple beverages and
Sure.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna add to when we first started the building, it was kind of an eyesore to begin with. And so when we initially start working on the property, enhancing it and doing a bit of a remodel to it, we then thought that this could be something more than just an eyesore in the neighborhood. And so when we've seen all the up and coming things that were going on in the neighborhood, it just prompted us to do more and make it more. And so, like Eric said, came up with the idea, what can we do with it and allow it to benefit the neighborhood? And so the thing that we came up with is, the neighborhood lounge, and we wanted it to be very diverse, inviting everyone, not just our friends and family. We host a lot of things, and this was the perfect opportunity for us to do that. So we will welcome our business partners that are next door to us right now. We're kind of surrounded by companies right now, so it would be a great spot for them to get off of work, come hang out with us. There's neighbors that, as you know, they just recently built a lot of new homes there. Again, someplace for them to just walk past with their dogs, stop, have a beverage, and just, we're just wanting to improve the neighborhood. We like it, like Eric said, we come down there, we watch the game down there, and a lot of people had already been stopping by thinking that this was already a spot for everyone. And at the time it was just for family and friends. So it just, helped us make this decision to want to move forward with just adding to the neighborhood.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And David, if it's proper, if you have any questions that you want to follow up with, anything that you feel like you'd like us to address further, we're happy to touch on specific points.
Sure. Yeah. So, I am relatively familiar with the area, and I know that there's been a lot of development and eating and drinking establishments going up in the area, and I'm certainly no stranger to sitting around with some friends watching the game, thinking about opening up a bar. So I totally get how it came about. What I need to hear a little bit more about, though, for our review today is is just based on some of the standards I have to look at. And one of them is that this is appropriately located, designed, and configured. And another is that there's a minimization of adverse impacts. And so I was wondering if really this is open to anyone in the room. If you could talk a little bit more about why you think that this location is appropriate, and in particular, with the proximity to some of the residential in the area, why you don't think that a bar will negatively impact it. In particular, I think noise is a big concern usually that I see from nearby residences when I look at applications like this. So could you guys talk a little bit about any efforts you've taken to minimize adverse effects with noise, and why you think that this is an appropriate location in general?
Absolutely. Like, we currently are in this building, as I stated before, with friends and family, listening to music. The building, if you enter the building, you have to go in the building to actually hear the music. So there's no noise that will be disturbing the neighbors. The neighbors kind of sit behind our building up on a hill. So it's close to residential, but not directly next to residential. So we don't foresee that to be a problem. Why do we feel it's appropriate? I don't know if we can use the term being appropriate or not appropriate. We just see that it's kind of fitting and needed in the area. Again, I go back to the eyesore. It's no longer an eyesore. It's going to be a nice establishment. It would add value to the area that we're currently in. So we think it's appropriate, based on where we are right now and the usage of it. We don't foresee the things that we have going on right now. We intend for this to be local neighborhoods, family, and friends. We have a specific opening and closing time from 5 to 12 a.m., which is for one business, I think it's Gomez or the Esoteric. We kind of close before one closes and opens up after the one, I think it was.
Yeah, just to add some additional context to that, the neighboring businesses in the area, a few that we cited in the application, Salsa Gomez, Esoteric Brewing Company, and Comfort Station. The closure time of midnight is right within that range. Comfort Station does stay open until 1 a.m. I believe Esoteric closes around 11. So it is right within that range. Although they would have the opportunity to stay open later with their liquor permit privileges, they are choosing to close before that cutoff time of midnight, which is within range of the neighboring businesses.
Okay.
And then real quick follow-up question on that, Michelle. Given your current activity at the premises, have you had any complaints from business owners or residential neighbors with noise or anything?
No, we have not. There was something going on in the neighborhood that had nothing to do with us, and a police officer actually stopped past to ask us questions, and asked him to come in. He came in and took a look at what we were there watching the game. He came in, he's like, this is a nice place. He said, and Eric talked to him about what he wanted to do. So we just don't anticipate, we feel that we have the capacity to control what we allow to come in and go out of our establishment. So we feel very comfortable with that.
Okay. Let me ask, are you also requesting that the patio also stay open till 12, even on weekdays? Or maybe I'll ask that a different way. I mean, would you be comfortable if there was a restriction on the patio use during the work week?
Actually, I think that'd be great. We can cut them hours back for being outside to cut the noise down.
Mhm.
I would, yes, most definitely do that.
Yeah, and something I'd like to just remind folks that I have to consider with these is that once I grant this, it runs with the land. So if you were to sell this to someone who wasn't as responsible, they would be able to use the space in the exact same way. And so sometimes when I'm looking at these, I make sure that regardless of how responsible the owner is, that there's some protections in place for the neighborhood to mitigate any potential noise or adverse effects. So that's something you wouldn't, if I were attached that as a condition of approval, that's not something you guys would have a problem with shutting down on just the patio space on work days.
Absolutely not. Our goal for the patio is mainly to have the people with their dogs come through. We don't plan to have music in the patio area. It would just be on the inside. The things that we want added to the patio is tables and umbrellas, but it's mainly a space for the people with their dogs.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I do want to mention this though. Like far as watching the sports, I would like to have a TV out on the patio. You know, when they're out there with their dogs. So it might be a little, a little noise out there, but
TV status.
TV status, nothing,
blaring, nothing blaring in the neighborhood. We don't.
Real loud. And the neighbor behind me, he's probably the closest neighbor to me. He's just right across the street, but I don't really have any neighbors within 100 yards from the building, 150 yards from the building.
Mm-hmm. We also plan to enclose the open fence that we have there now. And so it does kind of reduce the visibility of what is going on, and just in case the neighbor is not happy with the area, we would have that enclosed. So it's not going to be, just outright open.
Gotcha. Yeah, as I look at the street view, it looks like there's currently like barbed wire fencing. Is that is that what are you going to get rid of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. That was my suggestion. That's the first thing to go. So yes.
And what kind of fencing did you say you're going to replace it with? Is it going to be screened fencing? Is that part of the proposal? Like
do the privacy fence.
Okay, so like so you won't be able to see through it?
Yeah, either that or the screening, or put the screening, take down the barbed wire and just do the screening.
Yeah, we weren't quite sure on one or the other, but we know that one won't be open, and we know that the screen will give a little bit of visibility, but we weren't sure. We wanted to go with the building, and we haven't quite figured that out yet. But we're open to suggestions on what you guys think, and if we should go with one or the other.
Okay. All right. Let me give Wes Menzel an opportunity to weigh in here. Wes, anything you'd like to add?
Good morning. I agree with the idea of distinguishing the hours between the indoor and outdoor space, because even though the outdoor area will have the dog owners or animals or whatever, maybe less noisy than the inside, there'll still be some noise if there's a TV out there. So I would just agree that that'd be something you consider, as you mentioned earlier. And let's see, I mean, the applicant did say something about no music in the outdoor area, so I just think that's important to highlight as well. Just because even though the houses are maybe a little farther away or up the hill, noise can travel or whatever. I mean, during the week, I guess would be the key distinction there. But sometimes there's a Bengals game on a Thursday night that starts at 8, so then you might be going up till 11 or something, So I'm glad to hear you guys are cognizant of.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One thing. So if you look at the plans, we actually have the main building. There's a space in between that and the patio. So again, we have control of the music, that it's not directly on the patio as well.
I was happy to hear that when you said that. That your plan does show like an extra space.
Yes.
Between the outdoor and the indoor. Yeah, so that's good. That's it, David, for me. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I can comment on that as well, you know, it definitely sounds like there aren't any objections to limiting the or distinguishing the hours with the indoor outdoor, given the nature and specifically the fandom, it seems, with my clients here. I think that it is expected that there would be gatherings either on Monday night footballs games, Thursday night football games. So if there could be a consideration, an exception or a carve out to a Cincinnati sports event that would be held during the week, that would allow for activity on the patio, TV on the patio. If that is an option, I think that would be appreciated.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions I have for you guys. I have an understanding of the project. Is there anything else you guys want to say in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
Yes, I do. On the fence, because I want to go back to the fence. Whatever you think is probably best.
Yeah. Do
I'll
you have a
a
suggestion?
I don't know.
You know, what you typically see, what you typically hear.
Mhm.
You know, some of the things that we've seen with the other areas is that with their patios, it's wide open. We didn't want that, but when you mentioned, will it be see-through? It just kind of raised a flag. Is that one of your thoughts, is that it should be or shouldn't be?
So that is less about the visual impact. I mean, the barbed wire is visual impact, but which I know you said is coming down. It's less about the visual impact when I'm thinking about the fencing, and more about just potential sound buffering.
Okay.
And so that's my main thought. You know, Wes, do you want to weigh in? Wes sees a lot of these, and Wes, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like the sound buffering, any kind of techniques or strategies you could do, like some, you know, heavy landscaping inside the fence to help absorb the sound. You know, wooden fence maybe absorbs more than a vinyl, like, I mean, that kind of stuff. If you can think about that, be helpful.
And also one other question, when you guys mentioned the limited time on the patio, the closing time, are you saying that we can close the whole establishment at 12 or stop that at like 11? Like, what would be your suggestion there, or your thoughts there?
What I was suggesting and what I'm inclined to do on these is to just restrict, put a condition on the approval that you restrict access to the patio to hours outside of, you know, or you don't allow people on the patio after 10 p.m. When people typically have to go to work the next day, which the zoning code envisions as Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday to Saturday have different outdoor hours. That's typically what I do, and that's what I was considering doing here. So you would just have to move people inside if they wanted to hang out later. Yeah, but as long as they're inside, I think it looks like there's appropriate, you know, it looks like the building's appropriate, that there wouldn't be much disturbance if folks were inside past 10 o'clock on work days.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Jeffcott, anything else?
No, nothing further. Yeah, we ask that you take this into consideration and approve the conditional use as we believe that it will benefit the neighborhood and add to the already up and coming revitalized area of Walnut Hills.
Okay. So I've had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report, and based on that and based on the testimony I've heard here today, I am inclined to approve the requested relief. As we've talked about now extensively, I want to dial in exactly what those conditions may be. One, I think, will restrict the outside access a little bit more than the inside. And I think that'll be in accordance with what we've talked about today, but I want to think a little bit more about the music and the TV and the the games outside of Sunday games. So let me just spend a little bit more time with that. I will, as I said at the beginning, have this decision out to you within 2 weeks. What I do is I put it into a PDF and I'll email it to you guys. You'll have it really moments after it's complete. That will include all of the approvals and then any conditions in terms of the outdoor usage that I want to attach to that will be a part of that decision. So you'll be able to see all of those in writing when that decision comes through. Once you have that decision, Wes can approve the permitting on his end and the project can move forward.
All right,
Right.
sounds good.
Sounds great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Okay, great. Any questions about any of that or anything else?
No,
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if anything comes up, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure Wes would be happy to answer questions as well. If you want a status update on the decision, I'll have it within 2 weeks. But if for any reason you don't see it, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll give you an update on that. Otherwise, good luck with the project. Wish you the best of luck. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and we are adjourned.
thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.